Elena, how are you, Elena? Welcome. Welcome, everyone who is already here. Great to have you. And you are in for a great presentation. I got to tell you, you're going to learn some good things today about automation and how it is saving so many people time. We're going to just give everyone a few more moments to come on in. Of course, we'll have a replay, and I encourage you to replay, rewind, and all that good stuff. And you know what? Why not while we're waiting for people to come in? This is great. And as you're here, if you have a question, feel free to ask it. All right. There's no dumb question. The only dumb question is the one you didn't ask that you wish you did ask, but you didn't. You really needed the answer to that. I've done that before. Give us about 45 seconds and we'll get this thing started. No, I see people still registering too. That's great. Great. Okay. Well, welcome everyone to the Automation is a Time Machine webinar. And I'm your host, co-host with my other co-host, Mr. Wilton Rogers. My name is Rob Howes, and I am the head of marketing at Simply Automate. My co-host, Wilton Rogers, is the CEO of Simply Automate, and we are a automation. We help businesses automate repetitive tasks. We help them get rid of the mundane work. We educate them and then help them implement. This is what we do. And so this webinar is really based around helping you understand how automation works, how it essentially is like a time machine because it gives you time back. And my friend Wilton Rogers can explain a little bit about himself and his timeline of automation experience. Wilton?
Rob, hey, good to see you again. Always good to hang out with you. Uh, Excited about this webinar, and we'll share that here in a bit. But my background is, long story short, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I'm a small business. I've been in the small business space for a long time, and have no tech experience. But when I saw what automation can do, I knew how it can impact small businesses, and at that time, I felt like that was my calling, is to help small businesses understand their pain, the struggles they go through, help them find ways to make it a lot easier for them to do things that they really are passionate about. And so I fell in love with automation, and I've been at it since 2017. And every day we learn something new, and we hear new stories on a regular basis. And it's great to see the impact that not only automation is having, but that we get it to deliver as well.
That we get to deliver as well. And you're right, this automation is pretty amazing. I met you on LinkedIn about 5 years ago, and you told me about this automation. That's how I got involved in this
Seven
particular.
years ago. 7 years ago.
Oh, seven.
Seven. Yeah.
It's a minute. The time is flying so fast. You're just kind
Right.
of, but it's. I'm glad I did because I was able to really get some insight, and it's just phenomenal to see the benefit that businesses are having. And then our guest speaker, we got a special guest here, Mr. Ian Barkin, who's a co-founder of Sympathy Ventures and 2B Ventures. But importantly about Ian is that so he has a book called Intelligent Automation. But if you really want to understand business automation, I encourage you to go check out some of his courses, which they are here on LinkedIn. I mean, you really get some good insight, and it'll give you the foundation and the fundamentals of how to actually use this stuff. Ian, thanks for being here.
Hey, Rob. Thanks so much for having me. Great to be joining you and Wilton. As you said, my background about 10 years ago, maybe a little longer, I was helping enterprises to be more efficient, and automation became one of the tools in our tool set. And I geeked out. I went deep into it, figured out what it is, how to apply it. Ultimately, I spent quite a bit of time in Symphony Ventures, as a company I co-founded that was helping large enterprises to understand what is automation, understand how to deploy it. We then help them deploy it, help them manage it over time. I love what you guys are doing because, as Wilton said, one of the groups that needs this the most, but really didn't get the love from me 10 years ago, are the small and medium business owners, entrepreneurs. They are they work hard. Their plates are full. They have such great focus on their customers. They know that they need to. They know that they have to run lean, and automation is a way to help them do that. But oftentimes they just don't have the resources or the bandwidth to figure out what it is or to employ it. And as you mentioned, I love sharing my experiences for what they're worth with folks, and so have had the privilege of doing that. I've got the slide shows. I got a bunch of courses on LinkedIn Learning that help define what is robotic process automation, what are other components of what we call intelligent automation, so process mining and discovery, all the way up to conversational AI and intelligent automation itself. So it's been a blast. I've loved helping folks around the world, and have watched you guys closely over the last few years. Love what you're doing, and I'm thrilled to be on the show with you, or in the webinar. Is this a show, a webinar, podcast?
Webinar show.
I'm thrilled.
Thanks for having. I want to mention something, by the way. I've been following your work for quite a while now, and the reason why is I don't have a tech background. I'm just more of understand processes, understand business, But automation, I know automation technology and AI is part of our world now, but it was so hard to really understand how to use it, how to implement it, how to share it. And when I got in the industry, I was just looking at everywhere, trying to find ways on how to communicate to our clients and how to do it. And your book, Intelligent Automation, and your courses that you have on LinkedIn simplified it for somebody like me that has no tech background. I can't talk the language, but you made it very simple to understand for me to.
That's great.
And so being able to share that with clients now is I know how to share that now because it's been a lot easier. So those of you who have not checked out his book or his courses, and you really want to get understanding of it, man, you have to, because it's you make it very simple, and you create a very clear picture on how it works.
Cool.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
That's very kind of you. I'm glad I could help.
Simply said. And we thank those who are here. Thank you, Elena, for being here, and also Gary. Happy Wednesday to you too, and all those who are watching this webinar. Remember, you can ask any question that you have on your mind. You can just drop it right there in the comments. We will see it. And again, we're glad that you are here. We're going to keep this moving. All right. What is automation? What is it? Well, there's a lot of different definitions for what automation is, but we're going to just focus on a few bullets to help give you a good understanding. So it's the process of using technology to perform tasks without human intervention. Essentially, if a human is pushing a keyboard, that's human intervention. If they're doing a task with their hands manually, that's human intervention. And those human intervention tasks, guys, can build up a lot. Okay. They can build up a lot and become very stressful. So what automation does is it digitizes those tasks, liberating those people from the mundane work, and they're all running off into the sunset. Or maybe not, but at least they can, right? It's a possibility, all right?
Absolutely. Yes. I want to share a story real fast. Literally this morning, I was talking to a client, and they've been a client with us for a while, but he had done everything himself. And he finally got his manager to be on the call, and she really didn't understand what it is that we do. And she really says they have a lot of processes that they're still doing, but she really didn't understand where to start. And I said, what to automate? And I said, okay, well, when you're sitting behind the computer, or your staff is sitting behind the computer, and they tell you things that they do all the regular basis, and they wish they can have an assistant do it, or they want to get off their plate, that's somewhat of a pain point. That's a good place to start your automation, because that's a good way to start your conversation. Because first of all, more than likely it can be automated. Second of all, if it can be automated, you'll be able to understand how it works, because you can identify it with exactly what you're doing. So, when you sit behind a computer and you figure it out, you can wake up in the morning, go before you get to the computer and know that what you have to do because you do it on a regular basis. More than likely, that's automatable.
Yeah. I'll just add that, It's sort of a common now, but ultimately you say it's routine, mundane, manual, transactional, and ultimately boring and painful is a characterization of what's automatable. And you sort of know it as soon as people have a definition of what those characteristics are that make any particular process automatable, right? The data comes in, it's structured, you follow steps, you're making rule-based decisions on it, you go through like tasks into sequences into processes. That's automatable, and you'll start to see that in a lot of the work that you do, whether you're onboarding a new client or setting up a new employee, or just collecting Excel documents and combining them and reformatting them to enter them into a different system. There's a lot of work that goes on like that in every business, and those are processes that generally drain people's energy. They know that they need to be done. They're the things that they do at the end of the day, or they just sort of consume cycles where they could be doing other more valuable things, and that is automatable.
Well said. Well said. And speaking of automatable, automation is like a time machine. This is the title of this webinar. And of course, we know you're not going to go back in time, but essentially what automation does is it gives you back time. It saves you time, which creates time, which gives you more hours back in your business, which then in turn allows you to focus on your customers, build relationships with your partners and employees and all that good stuff. It's an amazing time saver.
Yeah. You know, we were, you and I were talking a while back, Rob, and about a client says, we don't have enough time. I said, well, let us automate that time because you'll have your time back.
Yeah.
And going off that is like, what if you can just get, an hour of your time back a day or 2 hours of your time back a day? What would that allow you to do? It's a huge difference. I mean, that's big. That's big.
Major.
And so, those are things that people really don't consider. It's like, well, I only spend about 15, 20 minutes in here. Yeah, but you spend 15, 20 minutes in the first thing in the morning, early morning, late afternoon, early afternoon, comes out to about an hour. What if you can take that time back and just take it away? What would that do? It's huge.
Yeah. Rob, I love that you can't go back in time, but you can get time back. And that was well put. I like that. And Wilton, to your point too, there's just basic context switching, right? There's just, you have to go and do this mundane routine thing, and then you get back to what you were trying to do in the first place. And I think it would be hard to argue that the valuable things that happen in any business are generally associated with supporting customers, winning customers, supporting customers, working with partners, and then just thinking more strategically, I suppose, about what it is you're doing, how you can do it better, and all of those activities are interrupted constantly throughout the day by the routine, mundane, transactional, boring, and painful. And so, as you said, automate and you get your time back.
Yeah.
If it aggravates, maybe it's time to automate,
Love it. Love a good rhyme.
So these are some very interesting statistics. All right. Very interesting. So 18% of knowledge workers spend less than 1 hour a day on the core job function, which just doesn't sound very productive. And then 81% spend less than 3 hours a day on creative work. And we know creativity is the cousin to critical thinking. So we know we're not able to use that component. That's not that helpful in regards to productivity. What do you guys have to say about these statistics?
Well, that speaks to what I just said. I mean, it seems extreme that, only 1 hour, but if you break it down and you think about what you do in a given day, then you are spending a lot of time interrupting yourself, doing the mundane. And if you had to fully add up where you're doing, and I think the core word here happens to be core, core job function, whatever that might be. It's I think we'd all have to admit we don't do enough of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I did, we didn't go to school to sit behind a computer and collect data. We didn't get a degree in collecting, not necessarily unless you're an accountant, right? But for the most part, you don't sit behind a computer and just say, hey, yeah, I'm going to sit behind a computer and just do manual processes all day long.
Even if you are an accountant, your job as an accountant is to support and advise your clients, and the collection of data is one part of that business. But if you asked an accountant to put a value on which components of the work they're doing are the most valuable to their client, I think collecting data isn't that. It's just that's a necessary element to the business.
Exactly. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think when you're able to put that time into to automating that, you're creative. Like you said, when you become more creative, you feel more valued. We found, we found that people like their jobs more when they're able to get away from these type of things, because they can have more of a voice and more of a vision. So it works. It's the value itself, and the ROI is more than just financial.
More than just financial. You better believe it. Take
Gary
care
would
of the
agree.
people. Yeah, thank you, Gary. Take care of the people, the process, and the technology. All right. All are very important. Let's talk about some case studies here. Automation saves time and money. All right. We got a manufacturing case here. I'm sure you appreciate this, Gary. Gary is big in manufacturing.
Yeah.
So I'll let you lead this, Wilton, because you had some experience. This is something that you had firsthand experience about.
Oh, I love this one, Gary. Good to hear from you. Yes. So this client, for a while, it took us a while to even get them right. They were just sort of figuring out what they wanted to do. Long story short, when we figured out what we're capable of doing, she didn't realize how much time it's really saving her. Just her alone was just like, it was a game changer for her. And when that happened, she was able to spend more time with her staff and putting her staff in better positions to be more productive. And she said that was just a huge game changer. And not only that, it allowed her to, I guess, move up in the company and have better opportunities, because now this was something she had to do anymore. And she was able to show her experience and her knowledge to what she can bring to the company. And that gave her an opportunity to grow within the company. So, not only, like I said, those 15 hours that it took away from her was huge. What is that? Like a third of her week, a third of her day, a little bit, probably a little more. That alone made a major change in her career, just in her career alone. So that's what I like about that one, because yes, it did save them financially, but they got their ROI back with only 4 months. But the ROI from her being able to do what she does now is, there's no numbers you can give to that will compare to that. So, this is a great one. In fact, conversations that continue to go with them. So I like this one.
We would, I'd add that the way that I've looked at this over the last 10 years is because ROI is important. You got to justify the investment in both time and resources when you embark on an automation project. And it's not always cashable benefits that come. It's not that you're reducing a headcount or you're saving money in a process, but the non-cashable, which was sort of the softer benefits, were almost always the more impactful and more interesting. And that the comment you just made about this case study, Wilton, is a great one, of just her being able to spend more time with her team is invaluable.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, who knows what comes from that time? It's probably better decisions, happier clients, faster growth, more compliant behavior, et cetera. There's all sorts of different ways that just being able to focus again on that core manifests as benefits to this particular client. So it's a great story.
Yeah.
Good. That's good. That's not the only story. We have another one here.
Wait, there's more.
There's more. So the property management wins. Let's talk about this. So there's many industries benefiting from this, but it's always great to take a look under the hood and see what the true benefits are, huh? What do you go ahead? One of you guys go ahead and take this.
Well, property management is really starting to take off now. We're starting to see a lot more interest, a lot more conversations in this industry. And it's because there's a lot of moving parts, not only when it comes down to the units or the tenant, but also their vendors, their employees, and they all talk together. They have to all be in the same, in order to get a vendor, they talk to the tenant has to talk to the employee has to get, and so there's a lot of moving parts. But the great thing about it is that most of that is rule based. Most of that's already built in. It's already, you go here, 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 here. And once we find that out, those are things that that are easily automatable. And with this particular client, I mean, again, it wasn't the ROI, but it was more of the time, because it was stressful time. And that 4 hours a day wasn't like 4 hours directly. It was 30 minutes here, wait for somebody. 15 minutes here, wait for somebody. 30 minutes here. And then by the end of the day, it's like, okay, we finally got all the information that we need. But between all that, it was stress. It's like, hey, we got to get this done. It was stress. This took that all out, took it all away. So, and so that's what we like about that, is that, those areas where, there people aren't talking or systems aren't talking, and there's delays because of certain people or certain things that need to get done to move the process forward, and automation can take care of that. The stress goes away. And that's huge. So property management is something that we're really focusing on a lot on now, and we're seeing some good opportunities.
Big,
cool.
Big.
Yeah, I mean, again, the context switching that I mentioned before, that's what you just described, Wilton. It's hard to focus in on any particular thing if you're bouncing and waiting and chasing, and I would imagine in property management, not having a ton of experience in it myself, but the success there is, again, having tenants that are happy and catered to, and finding new ones, which probably means spending time with them, which means being in the field, and doesn't mean sitting behind a desk doing mundane transactional processes. So if you can automate that, awesome. You're able to spend more time face to face, pressing the flesh, as they say, and keeping tenants happy.
That's it. Keeping the tenants happy. Opportunities to look at more units, is something that property management companies love to do. So, when you keep a tenant happy, and a tenant can do things a lot faster, a lot sooner, a lot easier, and they have a system that they know that they can rely on, it's a game changer.
Thanks, Melissa, for your question. She said, can you give an example of an actual task in property management?
That is a good question.
That's a great question. Yeah, actually we can. There's one that really stands out is the utility process. And I guess the reason why that one stands out is because you have vendors that you have to work with. You have utility vendors you have to work with, and in a lot of those, if you have like one unit, let's say you have one unit, but you have multiple. We have one unit, but you have multiple properties, or like a duplex or triplex or whatever, right? Each one of those has a certain gauge or whatever that controls what their utility bills are. They take those utility bills. This particular company, what they'll do is they'll go ahead. The bot will go in there and find out what the utilities costs are. It'll take it out of their rent. Or deduct it from their rent, and it'll it treats each one differently. So you don't have to worry about you going in there manually and saying, how much does this cost? How can I take it out of their rent, or in things like that. So I think the utility bot for some reason stands out to me, that we've done. And in fact, we did that probably a couple months ago with a client, and that's one. But another one that really stands out is the background and the background, what's it called? You do backgrounds and background checks and the credit and everything else, and it comes back and it feeds into it right away. So the system gets fed into it. It allows them what they qualify for. It'll show them exactly the house that they can get, what the down payment is, and everything else. So all you do is fill out one little program, and it feeds right into it. So hope that answers your question. We do actually have a use case on these that we could share, right? So
and actually, I was gonna my next thing I was gonna see what Ian had to say, but then I was gonna let everyone know that we're gonna actually put a couple resources in here for you. One of them is going to be the automation in property management use case guide. So it's an automation in property management use case guide. You go through that and you'll get a lot of great ideas. Your paradigm will open up tremendously. And we're also going to put in here the automation checklist. And this is an automation checklist where you can go. I would download both. There's no harm in it. You can only get more information. And the automation checklist will kind of walk you through just what to expect, what's possible from an automation standpoint. Ian, did you want to add anything else to the property management question?
No, I mean, I think it's cool that Melissa asked it, and it's cool that you have a use case guide to answer that question. I think, as you said, there's as I said, is not a property management specialist, but as somebody who's spent the last decade listening to people share the mundane tasks they have to do, it sounds like my guess would be, again, as you said, Wilton, tenant screening. There's all sorts of stuff around lease agreements. There's rent roll. There's you mentioned the utilities element too. I'm sure there's all sorts of tenant communications that go on. A lot around timing is as you're starting a rental relationship or as you're wrapping one up. There's probably checklists that Melissa you have to deal with at all times, that many of which can be automated, so that you can give that personal touch to those things that would be more valuable to have somebody handle.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Absolutely.
All right, let's keep it moving. So the time is now. And as we were talking about that automation checklist, I just dropped the automation and property management use case guide there. I'll put the checklist down there in the comments as well, where you can access that. But the time is now, gentlemen. Let's go ahead and share a little bit more on this slide here. The past and the present and the future, it all happens so quickly. Well, I tell you what, though, if we can just get present for a second and really understand and acknowledge and review the past, we'll have a better future. And the past is showing us that we take action right now with information, that we can have a better outcome. So why is the time now, gentlemen?
I mean, I can start, but I think, like I said, 10 years ago, I was helping large enterprises understand what this automation tool set was and how to use it. They had the budget, they had the bandwidth, they had the time, a lot of tinkering, a lot of experimentation, a lot of failure, but a lot of learning happened over that period of time. Fast forward 10 years, obviously we had COVID, which was a disruption to everyone's way of operating. Excuse me. And now you've got small, medium businesses in the US, no matter what industry. For some reason, these are coming through with my name. It's hilarious. I did not post these, but it's coming through.
It's very interesting.
But I'm so thrilled that I'm going to get the credit when people download those. That is neat. You're welcome, everybody.
Yeah.
But if you fast forward to today, you've got a situation in which the economy people are facing some forms of inflation, especially inflation in salary ranges. So you need to hire people. They're more expensive. It's hard to find them. It's very hard in almost every industry to find qualified professionals to do whatever you need them to do to support the growth of your small and medium business. So whether that's you're an accountant and you're running an accounting firm and you're looking for CPAs, or you're trying to grow your property management organization, you're looking for people to contribute there, it's hard to find that talent. And so, as you said, this giving you time back allows you to do more with the people you've got. And there's never been a better time than now to do that, just because the tools are so robust. The automation tools available are so capable that they can do a lot more than even I was able to do a decade ago. In looking at scanned PDFs, like receiving, rental contracts or people's financial statements or in tenant screening, you can read that stuff with intelligent document processing that then takes the data and transacts on it and uses it to enter it into other systems and make decisions based on. So the dynamics of succeeding as a small and medium business are tougher than ever, I think. And yet the tool set that's there is more capable than ever to really make a difference for small and medium business owners and management.
Yeah, absolutely. And going off that, I think, why we can't wait, why small and medium-sized businesses can't wait anymore is because like you said, Ian, the technology is already out there, but understanding what technology to use and how to use it and where to start and how to, save you time and money. Because even me being a small business owner, just hearing somebody else, oh, this worked for me. You try it out and you invest time, and then you have to invest resources into learning it, to understanding it, to implementing it, to everything. Now you don't have to do that, right? So there's companies like Simply Automate that can go in there and just walk you through. And for small business, so important because those hats, the smaller your business is, the more hats you wear, right? And the more hats you wear, the less time you get to spend on doing what you really love to do. So if you can start figuring out how to really automate those processes and get your team to automate those processes, then it makes a big difference. So, it's inevitable. You have to make that change for your company, or you're going to get lost in the shuffle, and the doors will end up closing because someone else is going to fly past you and say, where do they come from? Well, they know exactly how to use the system, how to use the technology to help them grow.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's just doing more with the resources you have allows you to grow affordably and without a linear cost model where for every additional unit of revenue you make, you've got to go hire more people to make it possible to be making that money.
Exactly.
If you work smarter, you can work more profitably.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. All right, and here are some steps to get started. All right, here are a few steps. Take a look at them here. All right.
These are very important steps. I think technology audit. Basically look at the technology you're currently using. Is it the right technology you're using? Are you using it the right way? Are you maximizing its use, or do you? So those are definitely things that you want to do. Educate your team on automation benefits. I think that is huge. I mean, the minute you have your team understand how automation works, the faster you can basically scale your company. It's true. It is. I mean, once they understand how automation works, I mean, the benefits we talked about that earlier, are tenfold.
I'll add there, Wilton, that again, the slide showed at the beginning of the courses that I've taught on this subject, and I've been lucky enough that hundreds of thousands of people have taken those courses, and it's not, and I don't think we mean here that you're educating them how to automate necessarily. It's not how to use certain tools, how to select them, how to be hooking them up to your systems to transact. It's just what is automation and what are its capabilities, because you get a lens through which you start to look at the world that you work in. Right? And so you'll literally sit down at your desk the following morning and think to yourself, this fits criteria I just learned about yesterday that define this process as, structured input, consistent transactional process, rule-based decision-making framework, mapped workflow steps. It just, all these things make this process automatable, something that I don't necessarily need to do anymore if we were to automate it. And as your prior slide said, then you just have to figure out how you go about automating that. In some cases, it could be that you pay expensive consultants, like me 10 years ago, or you build a team internally, which is really hard these days. It's just hard to come by the talent. And again, the inflation has really hit that talent as far as how much they cost. Or I think you do what you guys help enterprises do, which is you partner and you do it as a service, and you rent automations that free your people up.
Yep.
And well said. That's exactly, yeah. You don't need to be tech savvy. You just know, and that's what's so good about your courses too. Going back to your courses, because honestly, if you take a course like, oh, I get it now. It really does help. You dummy it down for all of us. So thank you.
I dumbed it down for myself. I'm glad it helped other people, but it's the way that I needed to think about it. But yeah, I mean, to your point, I mean, I imagine these are from that checklist because you have a picture on the slide for that. But all of those are imperative steps to knowing where to start, and then it starts the snowball rolling as far as energy and enthusiasm and creativity start to manifest. That people see opportunities and they get engaged. Then it's kind of up to you. If you do this is sort of you can't put this toothpaste back in the tube, if you will. I mean, if you do start down the path of looking at how to make operations more efficient using automation, then you sort of have to commit to it, because you'll get a lot of people on your team very excited, and also really aware of how mundane and boring some of the stuff they do is. And so if you don't automate it, then now they're just even more aware that it's mundane.
Yep. That's exactly it. That's exactly it. And as Ian was mentioning, yes, this checklist that you're looking at here is down here in the comments, not the clipboard itself, but the checklist, right? And so you can go through that checklist and really start getting a good understanding of what you can do, where you are with what you have. All right. Automation in action. What industries are being impacted most? Well, a lot of industries, as a matter of fact, just about all industries are being impacted, but we put a few here, a few that we've seen, that we've worked with, and we've seen the benefits. I mean, tremendous benefits, from saving 40 hours a week in manual labor to people being able to scale to only having two. Remember, that was three people in a law firm, and it was, now they have, I'm not sure how many, but it was three doing the work of 100. And we came on the scene and really helped them out a lot. So we've seen a lot of automation in various industries. You guys want to talk about maybe which industries that you've seen impacted the most, or any thoughts in regards to any of these industries?
I can start. And as you said, ultimately, I spent most of my time in horizontal processes, ones that affect everyone. Every industry has to hire. They have to pay for things. They have to collect money for things that they build or offer, services and products. So finance and accounting, HR, supply chain logistics, legal, in some cases, procurement, all of those functions are rife with routine, transactional, rule-based processes that weigh a team down from focusing on the core valuable things that they could be doing. And I've been lucky enough to have clients in almost every industry. I saw a lot in banking, financial services, and insurance. Saw a lot in healthcare, a lot in manufacturing, and and to your focus and to the point of what you've shared today, small and medium businesses all have the same sort of horizontal requirements too. They've got to hire, and they've got to pay, and they've got to collect, and whether it be accounting firms and law firms or doctors' offices or property management firms, they all need to be automating to be efficient and to be profitable going forward.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I had a conversation with a gentleman that was in the auto industry, and he asked, what industries do you use your automation for? Or do you automate? I said yours. Because it's true, we can automate in any industry. These are the top ones that we are getting some traction in, obviously. So we put them up there, but you're right. It works in any industry because, there's routine tasks that everybody does within their own organization, within their own environment. And all you got to do is point those out. So, it's not stuck on the industry. But, these are the ones that we're seeing a lot of. We have history with, I should say, more history with.
Yeah.
But we do have those one-offs that are like insurance or medical that might pop up here and there. But it favors everyone.
Yeah. I mean, it's you could ask the question of which industries hire people.
Yeah, well,
And ultimately, the answer is all of which industries use software programs, computers, and hire people. And whatever your answers are to those questions, those are the industries where automation can add value.
I like that. I'm glad this is recorded.
Yeah.
That's
Simplify it.
yeah, very simple.
All right. Speaking of simple, how do you simply get started with automation? Well, one thing, you can start by downloading the checklist that you have here, the automation checklist, and also the automation in property management use case guide. Why? Because that's going to really help give you some insight that you didn't have before, right? Of course, studying, as we were saying before, understanding your business, really understanding your business processes, standardizing your processes. I mean, these are very, very, very important. Of course, in conclusion, booking a free consultation call with our CEO here, Wilton Rogers, to go ahead and walk you down the road and answer any questions you have, and really open the door to what's possible. That's how you can get started. Guys, you want to add anything to this slide?
What I like to add is that, just being in this industry and being on the other side as a business owner, being able to talk to the resources and the ones that have the experience can open the door, can save you times and years on research. I just remember even starting in the automation industry when I was working in the enterprise, trying to figure out how to work in the small business. And I was just Googling everything, just trying to figure out things. And there was so much information that didn't apply to what I was looking to do. So you could, that I just wasted hundreds and hundreds of hours doing that, right? Where now we built this so we can simplify it for you. Like, show what you're doing. We have resources, we have the experience, we know we know how to lead you in the right direction. That will not only save you time but energy. You don't have to talk to your friend, your partner that's using some type of software automation that work for them may not work for you. It may not be fit for yours. Sitting down and talking to the right people that are doing this on a regular basis makes a big difference. It's just it's a conversation. Like you were saying, Ian, earlier, is like, going over even to some of your courses, waking up the next morning, be like, oh, I get it now. I understand it now. This makes sense now. That's exactly what just having a meeting will do.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I would. When you mentioned that you were Googling things, I think the other challenge these days is if you start to look at, obviously not start because you were inundated with this now, but if you're Googling which sort of tools and automation and AI to use for your business, I mean, your head's going to explode. I mean, literally the amount of hype right now, especially with generative AI, is extraordinary, and it's anxiety causing, and you just feel like you're behind and you're struggling to grasp what it all means. You're also being hit by a lot of hyperbole and a lot of sort of magical narrative that this technology can do everything. And ultimately, I guess the question is, would you, if you could, would you use a rocket ship to get to work? And the answer is no. You just don't need that much firepower and engineering to get to work. You need a car. I mean, you need a perfectly good Nissan Sentra gets you to work. And in most small and medium businesses, that's what they need. They just need pragmatic solutions that get the job done. They don't need very expensive AI science experiments that only the largest of enterprises can actually afford. And the dirty little secret is, in most often those projects fail. So much is being done right now to try to figure out how to use all of this new AI technology, and it's not really solving problems that most enterprises have. Whereas a more practical set of tools, again, I think I touched on, like, intelligent document processing reads your PDFs and extracts data from them. Robotic process automation does the transactional steps of moving data, working through workflows, making rule-based decisions. Those are the things you need.
Yeah. Well said.
Yeah, that's it.
What's so good about technology now and having the right resources, that you can have the enterprise quality work and resources at a small medium-sized budget. It doesn't cost you hundreds and thousands of dollars like it does the enterprise anymore. And you can pretty much do the same thing. And sometimes you can do a lot easier, well, not sometimes. You can do a lot easier, a lot faster. That we know, right? But you have that opportunity, and I think that's where our businesses need to understand, is like, it's out there. Yeah. It's out there. You can do exactly what the enterprise is doing right now at a budget that fits within your business.
Yeah, and that's very true. It's cool. It's cool to me to think that, again, what I was doing with teams a decade ago, you can do much more efficiently now. Yeah. But again, the caution is just don't get overwhelmed by the onslaught of marketing and hype, because it will keep you up at night, and it's not helpful. There's so much that an enterprise can do that are just just the core principles and basic blocking and tackling to run more efficiently, to free people's time up to do more value adding things. That should be where they spend most of their time.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it. That's it. And Doria said it was an aha moment for her. That's great to hear. I love aha moments. I love them. Absolutely love them. So
Good to hear. Glad it was helpful for sure.
yeah. Remember, everyone, you can download the automation checklist as well as the automation and property management use case guide. Get these assets, download them, go through them, book the call with Wilton as well. There, we'll put the link where you can book in here as well. I just sent it to you. Well, you can put it here. I didn't want to put it up because I'm posting as Ian for some reason. They got us rearranging here, so I think we're doing a movie. We're switching people for today. Okay,
great. I've automated things. If I could get you to do all sorts of stuff for me, it'd be great. I could not just post for me. I need someone to do my taxes. I need someone to do other stuff too. So I'll give you a call after this call, Rob.
Sounds good. Sounds good. And remember, if it's too much on your plate, simply automate. All right, folks. Hope this was good. I hope a lot of folks had some aha moments. We're glad that someone did. We're glad it was resourceful. Remember, if you have any questions, reach out. There is no dumb questions, and we hope you have a wonderful rest of the week.
Yeah.
Oh.
Anything, guys? Anything else?
Thanks for having me. This was fun.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Yeah, we appreciate you. One thing that I'd like to add is follow us on LinkedIn. We're posting on the regular basis. We have our business page there. We have an amazing team that not only post stuff, but they reply to things, and we try to keep that open dialogue there as well. So that's where we spend most of our time. So any updates that we have or anything we could share, you can ping us there as well.
You got it. Thanks for bringing that up. Yes, LinkedIn, we post every day. Well, just about every single day. And so swing on by there. And like I said, have a great rest of the week, everyone.